transform the vibe. I'm never gonna look back, cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change, slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
There are numerous levels of power in the Pokemon world, which can be classified by ranks in an exceedingly complicated method, such as Pokemon Showdown, or simply Legendary and the rest of Pokemon. Of course, not all legendary Pokemon are equally powerful, but if they are called strong Pokemon, they are incredible. And in this video, we'll go over the list of the most powerful legendary Pokemon ever. These are exceptional creatures. Although everyone knows they will have to battle them, they are nearly unbeatable. And our motobikes also take a slot in this list. Now let's go! We'll begin with Mewtwo, a legendary Pokemon with a higher level than the rest of the legendary Pokemon at the same time, when its stats better than those of other legendaries like Zapdos, Articuno, or Moltres. Of course, there are other legendary Pokemon that are stronger than Mewtwo, but if you are a champion, your name will be immortalized in history books, especially when you were the first Pokemon to achieve that honor. And in the early generations of Pokemon, Mewtwo's superiority was undeniable, coming not only from stats, but also from a variety of other reasons, making Mewtwo the only Pokemon without how to counter ever appeared. The Ghost type did exist in Generation 1, but instead of being highly effective, it was resisted by the Psychic type. Furthermore, the only Ghost-type Pokemon in Generation 1 were Dual-type Ghost and Poison, thus they disappearing when they dared to jump in front of Mewtwo. The Bug-type is the only thing that can effectively damage the Psychic type. However, the Bug-type's moves are completely useless at that moment. Worse, the strongest Bug-type Pokemon at that time, Scyther and Pinsir, were unable to learn any of the above moves. However, Mewtwo cannot be stopped, which is why, when the second generation of Pokemon was introduced, Steel and Dark types were created to counter the Psychic type. Another reason is that the special attack and defend numbers were combined into one and known as special in the first generation. Many Pokemon, including Mewtwo, can use Amnesia to boost this stat by 2 stages, making them twice as powerful in special parts, both attacking and defending. Mewtwo also possesses the Barrier move, which boosts physical defense, and when its health bar falls below 50%, it just needs the Recover move to recover. Another factor that places Mewtwo at the top is that critical rate was calculated based on speed back then, and Mewtwo was one of the fastest Pokemon with a critical rate of up to 25%. Mewtwo was nearly invincible at the time, but it was a thing of the past. The forces that followed are still exceedingly powerful today, even when compared to other legendaries. Mega Rayquaza is the most well-known Pokemon in the genre, and it should be played alone in the game. As we all know, Mega Evolution was one of the first methods to boost power during battle. Although it is not a perfect mechanism, it is the most interested one. Who doesn't want to see their favorite Pokemon evolve? In others, those evolved forms in particular have a stunning look as well as exceptional strength. However, in order to Mega evolve, those Pokemon must carry Mega Stones with them, which means they cannot carry any other power-boosting equipment. But Rayquaza broke the law because it simply needed to carry the Dragon Ascent move, which of course it would do because it is his greatest flying-type move. Rayquaza is now stronger than all of the remaining Mega Evolution forms, and it can carry one additional equipment item, and we all know how dominant it was in the game meta. Choice Band or Life Orb will allow it to deal massive amounts of damage. It may choose to remove negative status conditions with Lumberry while increasing its power with Dragon Dance or Sword Dance. Furthermore, because to the ability Delta Stream, Mega Rayquaza is no longer worried of Rock type, resists Electric type, and only gets effective damage from Ice type once rather than 4 times as before. A Pokemon that already was a powerful attacker now has improved defense potential. Its skill set is incredibly wide. In addition to its extremely high stats, it can deal with its counters when they dare to jump in front of this dragon. For example, to Ernest Who dares to jump out to block, Drogoy Skent will be blown away the next turn. Steel-type Pokemon will be melted with Earthquake or V-Create. Rock-type Pokemon will have their heads broken when hit by Draco Meteor. and the move Extreme Speed will prevent any Pokemon from surpassing its speed with priority moves. So a Pokemon that can counter Mega Rayquaza is quite rare, and everyone feels that this Pokemon is unbalanced, threatening the strategy of any Pokemon team. The next one in the video, Zacian, is from the 8th generation. This is a single-type fairy Pokemon with physical attack power of 130 and high speed of 138. The Rusted Sword is an exclusive equipment that this Pokemon possesses. When equipped with this equipment, Zacian will transform into Sword King form, commonly known as Zacian Crowned, with total basic stats equal to Arceus but considerably better distributed stats. Its base speed is 148, which is only lower than 8 other Pokemon, while its basic physical attack power is 170, which is only lower than 6 other Pokemon. However, when you combine this Pokemon's physical attack stat with the Intrepid Sword ability, which always boosts its attack stat by 1 stage, it has the greatest physical attack stat in the universe. When its physical attack stat is 482 at level 100, it will instantly increase to 723 after activating the ability. To make it easier to imagine, a Pokemon needs to have 279 basic physical attack power to reach this number. Zacian, by the way, also has Sword Dance. This Pokemon's dual type is Fairy, Steel, one of the best dual types in terms of defense, with being able to resist 9 types and be immune to 2 more, while only having 2 weaknesses from the Fire and Ground types. So Zacian can withstand hits fairly well, despite the fact that his stats have been concentrated toward attack, power, and speed. When Zacian's exclusive move, Behemoth Blade, deals double damage to Pokemon in Dynamax state, his value in Generation 8 is increased even further, along with other great auxiliary moves like Play Rough, Close Combat, and Sacred Sword. It's easy to see why, at the time, Zacian was always the first choice in every strategy, whether you needed to own it or have a method to counter it, or, even better, both. Of course, there are still many effective names for blocking Zacian, such as Torkoal, Chandelure, and most recently, Skeledirge, but this number is not enough, and the rest of the Pokemon world has to kneel before Zacian crowning its blade. Not only that, but Zacian retains its original form. It still has less superior stats than the crowned version, but it is still good and possesses the Intrepid Sword ability. This indicates that it has the second highest offensive potential after Zacian Crowned. To compensate, it can utilize Choice Band or Life Orb to boost its attack strength and sweep everywhere, just like in its crowned form. As a result, the 9th generation had to reduce Zacian's power, including cutting physical attack by 10 points in normal form, 20 points in crowned form, and limiting the Intrepid Sword ability to once every match. I'll let you decide whether this means Zacian is no longer superior. Calyrex, more precisely Calyrex Shadow Rider, is a legendary Pokemon from the 8th generation introduced after Zacian. It has dual types, Ghost and Psychic. This Pokemon's total stat aren't as high as Zacian Crown's, but the important stats are so good with 165 special attack power and 150 speed. It cannot, however, be weakened by the Burn State or Pokemon having Intimidate. Since it possesses 2 abilities at the same time, this Pokemon's destructive potential increases. After defeating an opponent, the Grimnay will provide this Pokemon a bonus special attack stage, making it almost impossible to block, and it can still use Nasty Plot. Then, Calyrex Shadow Rider has the exclusive move Astral Barrage, which has a power of 120 and can attack both opponents in a double battle, similar to Groudon's Precipice Blade or Kyogre's Origin Pulse, even more scared since Astral Barrage has absolute precision while the other 2 moves do not. The Ghost type is also a great attack type, with little resistance, and this is the Ghost type's strongest move. The fatal weakness of this Pokemon is its dual type, which causes it to take 4 times the damage from Ghost and Dark type attacks, especially priority moves like Shadow Sneak or Sucker Punch, which can instantly send it to Pokeball. However, as long as Calyrex is surrounded by a psychic environment, it can temporarily forget about its drawbacks. Only very tanky, Dark-type Pokemon, such as Yveltal or Tyranitar, can block Calyrex Shadow Rider, and Calyrex has no Fighting-type moves powerful enough to deal with these 2 Pokemon. This is also a flaw that others can exploit in order to deal with it. However, it is still not easy at all. The Tetastaleza feature gave Calyrex Shadow Rider the final piece in the 9th generation when Tetrastalized to Fighting type would make it no longer frightened of Shadow Sneak, Resist Sucker Punch, and the Tetra Blast, move that could blow away any Dark-type Pokemon. When you choose the Fairy type, it no longer fears the 2 Dark-type attacks mentioned above, as well as the stronger Draining Kiss power, which increases its recovery potential, especially when using Substitute. Furthermore, the most annoying counter, Yveltal, has not been added to Generation 9, therefore Calyrex's might is absolutely unstoppable. As a result, it became forbidden as soon as it appeared in Paldea. By the way, Regieleki, a legendary Pokemon from Generation 8, is also worth mentioning, but at a lower level. This legendary electric-type Pokemon has the fastest base speed ever recorded, as well as being able to do massive amounts of electric damage thanks to its transistor ability. Its playstyle has an Achilles flaw in that it lacks effective ways of attacking ground-type Pokemon. However, because to the Terastallized mechanism, Regieleki can now transform into an Ice-type Pokemon and use Terra Blast to deal with ground-type Pokemon, which was previously its nightmare. So this Pokemon was also forbidden shortly after arriving in Paldea. Technology is powerful, and we're approaching Generation 9, where the final Pokemon in this video, Miraidon, is introduced. This is a legendary Pokemon with dual electric and dragon types, one of the most lethal dual attack type combinations that only 23 Pokemon can resist. Resistance to Miraidon, on the other hand, is simply theoretical. In actuality, they will flee because to the massive amount of damage this Pokemon creates. Miraidon has both special attack power and basic speed stat of a 135. However, Miraidon's ability Hadron Engine will generate an electric environment when in battle, and Miraidon will have a 33% increase in special attack power while standing in this environment. That electrical floor also raises the attack power of electric-type moves by 30%, coupled with 33% from Life Orb. Now, Miraidon's electric-type stab moves further reach 345% of their original power. At that point, a single Volt Switch move can cause the opponent to faint. Even the toughest opponents will be flattened by Electro Drift on the electric floor after just one Calm Mind. The Draco Meteor move will dissipate ground-type Pokemon. Even the most tanky ground-type Pokemon, like as Tinglu, cannot withstand Miraidon's Draco Meteor hit after using Calm Mind and Terastallizing to Dragon-type without an Assault Vest. For a more direct comparison, Mega Rayquaza's Strike only removes 96% of Tinglu's HP. When confronted with a Pokemon that is dual Steel and Ground, immune to electric moves and resistant to Dragon moves, it already has Overheat to deal with them. Perhaps only when one Fairy and Ground-type Pokemon appears that can stop this motorbike. Even yet, with the Pokemon that can deal with Miraidon by overspeeding, this dragon has far too few counters to contend with. And you may have noticed that I'm placing the Pokemon in chronological order, beginning with the past and ending with the present. And I see a lot of power coming in the future. However, this is only a deduction and is not yet confirmed. Specifically, an image of a piece of equipment was discovered in the data of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it attracted a lot of attention. That is the Legend Plate, a piece of equipment introduced in Pokemon Legend Arceus that allows the Supreme God in Pokemon World to change types every time he uses Judgment, always transforming Arceus into the Pokemon with the best type to deal with opponents, and even resist them if possible. In a nutshell, the move Judgment always has a stab bonus and is always very effective on the target, implying that Arceus can punish Pokemon with only this move. However, because this item has not yet been released, all of this is merely speculation. This video ends here. Thank you for taking the time to watch the entire video. You might write a comment below if there is any legendary or non-legendary Pokemon that has forced the entire meta to revolve around it. Now goodbye everyone. See ya.